Okay, so you can easily just go like this. You're going to need to draw two ovals, and then you're going to have, and I would use your whole piece of paper so it's easier, three boxes. You're going to draw something just like that. Okay, I'm going to go back to just the prettier copy because that's what I'm going to do. So we learned about colonial government, and you saw this distance is a big reason why they started to govern themselves. It's that easy of an answer. When the person in charge of you is 2 to 3 months away, not hours, not days, 2 to 3 months away, you're going to start governing yourself. And so distance is a huge reason why the colonists don't follow the government over here in England. It's just there's a big communication gap. Distance just causes a problem. So our first thing in our first bubble simply is this. Distance is what we write. Distance specifically from England, but soon enough, don't get confused. Great Britain, we're going to start using that a lot. It's the same thing. So the distance from Great Britain is the number one reason why the colonists are going to start their own government. Number one, distance. It sounds easy of an answer, but that is the answer. So what kind of governments do they start to create? Well, let's start with they're going to govern themselves, not have England govern them from across the Atlantic Ocean. So they're going to have self-government. But while deciding to govern themselves, as the colonies develop, they say, you know what? We can't just all be a part of government. Some of us are farmers, we have jobs. We need to elect people to be our representatives. They're going to quit their day jobs and they're going to go play government for us and make the laws. So self-government and representative government. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be shortening this. You're going to hear me say this all the time. Self-gov. Oops. Self-gov, rep-gov. What would rep be short for? Hopefully you would think representative government. Are y'all seeing this on the screen? Can someone unmute and tell me? Okay. All right, so distance from Great Britain, self-government, representative government. That's what they're going to do. Sometimes these overlap because if you have a representative government, you're governing yourself. Obviously, a group of people within one country. But sometimes if you're just a self-government, you may not have representatives. You may all be part of the government, but that's not logical. So like today, I have a job. Millions of Americans do. So we actually elect people to go be in the government. We pay them. It's their job. So we are today we have a representative government because we all can't play government every single day. We made government a job. Okay, so now we know it's the distance from Great Britain is why we have the colonists develop self-government, and most of them choose to have a representative government. Okay, you did a chart that looks like this, but we are going to just do the three most important things, and I'm going to make this super easy for you. So people say, well, how do you know? Why would these little colonists that are here not want to have a king or queen? Because guess what? England had a king or queen. So over here, if this is the colonies, here's my crown. Let's see, does that look like a crown? No, that looks horrible. They have a monarchy, but over here, they never had that. And they didn't want that. They wanted a representative government where people like them made the laws, not just the rich people that are in charge because of who they're related to. So there's proof. How do we know? Because of old documents hanging in a museum somewhere. So the first example, the only reason you are learning about these is because they are examples of self-government and representative government. So the first example, you're going to draw a flower like this. And again, mine's ugly, with 2 leaves. And this represents one very old document that is called the Mayflower Compact. So I'm going to write that right here, Mayflower Compact. So when the Mayflower Compact, you draw a flower. This is where they decided that the people, and PPL is just short for people, the people are going to govern themselves. So these petals are the people that are going to govern themselves. They are not going to be governed by people in England. They're going to govern themselves. And how does the Mayflower do that? They do this. This is what you're going to write in the petals. Social, kind of fit that in there, contract. So in case you can't see what I wrote, I'm going to write it down here. Social contract is what I want you to put in the leaves. So they were on this nasty boat. This happens to be one of our earliest examples of that the colonists are going to want a self-government or representative government was on the Mayflower Compact. They said, oops, we're in the wrong spot. We don't know. What if there's some crazy government when we get off this boat? Let's write a contract between people, because social's people, a people contract that says we are going to make some laws real quick, some rules before we get off this boat. We're all going to agree on it together. We're going to make this compact that we're going to govern ourselves. Let's write down a couple rules real quick, guys. And that really did happen. And we have the Mayflower Compact in a very old museum. So that's a really big deal. So that's our first example that, oh my gosh, these people they just came from England. But they didn't say, okay, who's going to be the king? Who's going to be in charge of our little group? They didn't do that. That is an amazing part of American history that they did not do that. Okay, what's another example of self-government and representative government? Our next example is you're going to draw a house. A good old-fashioned house. Okay, here's my house. Our next example is from what we did yesterday. And this is the Virginia House, get it, house, was your house, of Burgesses. And I'm just going to put that short, Virginia House of Burgesses. This was just so adorable. This is the only reason you learn about these. Are there lots of other old documents? Yes, but these are the first ever examples in all of United States history of self-government and representative government. We have no examples of a monarchy. The colonists didn't want that. So Virginia House of Burgesses. Burgess is a fancy word for representative. So here's what we're going to draw. We're going to draw some stick figures in this house. All right. These are representatives. The people, Virginia said, you know what? Y'all better get back to farming. We're going to elect representatives to make laws in Virginia because rules are important. And while you might think, oh, rules dumb, I hate them, I don't want to follow them. Without rules, life would be horrible. We have to have rules to be organized, to be safe, and to have a good life with others. You have to have rules, or else you could be in harm's way. So here are representatives. So here's what you're going to write in here. Leg reps. Are they working out in this house? Doing leg reps? No. Another word for people who make laws are legislators. Laws makers are called legislators. So if they're in this house together making laws, they're called legislators. It's that easy. Legislator equals lawmaker. We did that yesterday in the notes of this assignment. So legislative, lawmaker. And they are representatives. So they're representatives of the people making laws. So they're doing leg reps. You'll write that in house. I promise you this is going to make it so easy on your test questions. And you know what a fancy word for a meeting is? Assembly. So they're having a meeting doing leg reps, but really they're having a meeting about making laws because they're the representatives of all the farmers and the merchants and the cattle ranchers and the farmers. They agreed, you know what, we're going to go to a house, get together, have a meeting, and make some laws for Virginia. And you know what, if these people are bad at their job, the people in Virginia are going to say, you're not very good at doing leg reps. We're going to choose somebody else. Okay. So this is the first ever example in all of American history ever of a representative government. Here it is. So that's the reason we learned about the Virginia House of Burgesses. And the first place it was done was in Virginia. And guess what? We still do it today, except the house is a really big building and it's very fancy. And I vote for representatives. You will when you're 18 to go to a big house and to make laws for America and vote on them. Okay, the very last one. That is an example of representative and self-government. It is, you're going to draw F and a C. FC. And that stands for the Fundamental Orders of Connecticut. So this example is brought to us by Connecticut. They are the first one that said, okay, that's great. You're having representatives and they're making laws. They said, you know what? We're going to write this down. We're going to get a piece of paper. And the word fundamental means the basics. They said, you know, we're going to get a piece of paper and write down, well, how many representatives are we going to have? We're going to write down how to elect the representatives, how many we should have, and we're going to put it on a piece of paper and call it something. We're going to call it a constitution. The Fundamental Orders of Connecticut is the first constitution ever to be written in United States history. And it was Connecticut who had the bright idea and said, you know what, let's not just have representatives. Let's write down how we do this and share that document with everybody. Let's write down all these rules. Let's organize the colony of Connecticut, called a constitution. They are the first people to ever do that. So that's why we learn about that. So y'all ready for the easy part? Let me tell you the easy part. First, you'll memorize drawing this. It'll be super easy. And in class, you'll be doing lots of drills of this so that you definitely have it memorized. At home, you should definitely be doing this over and over until you have all these 3 pictures with the words in it memorized. Here's the deal. Any test question about the Mayflower Compact, if in the answer choice it says self-gov or rep-gov, it's the answer, circle it. Every single time. I promise I'm not lying. If the question has anything about the Virginia House of Burgesses and it says self-gov or rep-gov in the answer, it's the answer, circle it. You don't even have to think, just circle it. If it's talking about Fundamental Orders of Connecticut and the answer says self-gov or rep-gov, guess what? It's the answer, because the only reason you learn about these 3 is because they're the first ever examples of this. If it's talking about these 3 examples and you don't see this in the answer choice, it's distance from Great Britain. Every single time. If it's talking about the distance of Great Britain and you see one of these in your answer choice, circle this. If you see something about the distance from Great Britain and this is not an answer choice, but one of these documents are, it's these. The reason we have this is because it's showing you the connection between all of this and how you're always going to get these answers right, because these are examples of this, and this happened because of this. This created this. How do we know? Here's your examples. It is all connected. If you ever get these answers wrong in a test, I will hunt you down and know that you did not pay attention to this. So you are going to draw this right now that or already have, and you're going to take a picture of this and you're going to upload it to Google Classroom so that I know you did your assignment. You should be able, oh, there goes my lights. You should be able to do this by memory without a doubt. If you can do that, you are successful. I'm going to give you practice questions to show how easy it can be. But here is your example of self-gov and rep-gov in colonial government. There are no signs of a monarchy here.